everyone! Or as I was going to say, hello, true believers!
Wolfie, I'm sorry to tell you this. You're not Stan Lee.
I know. But in honor of him being one of the comics people that I do like it, so... But yeah. Either way, I like Transformers, you like Transformers, you like us reacting to Transformers for some reason.
Indeed we do. I'm very sad that the Onyx Prime toy we have coming up is not secretly just Shockwave wearing some armor. It'd be funny if it was.
Is he Onyx Prime?
Yeah.
Well then. Either way...
Every time Onyx Prime is relevant.
Either way, this is a Shockwave video where apparently people are saying Shockwave is quite literally the worst. In terms of actions, not as a character as a whole, from what I can tell.
The running gag in IDW was everything is Shockwave's fault, and then canonically it turned out everything was Shockwave's fault.
I feel like that's the problem of creators getting into the memes, is they start like, and people are like, no, do not get yourself into meme. It's supposed to be silly, don't take it seriously.
Where do you think the meme came from? Because the creators were already making everything Shockwave's fault, but then everything was quite literally his fault.
Oh.
This is a list of just some of the things that Shockwave's done. I knew he was bad.
But damn.
Really?
Say hello
was Shockwave in Prime?
to Shockwave.
Yeah, mostly in Season 3, but one episode of Season 2.
Oh.
Seeing himself
He always
as a
looks the
servant
same.
of logic more than a servant of Megatron, Shockwave sees his lack of
You
emotion
see the
and empathy
buffest
as a
version of
strength more
Shockwave,
than
and you say,
anything.
oh, he looks the same.
Because he always has the same kind of look to him, if you know what I mean. That face is always going to be the same, except for when he was in animated.
This guy could take his Fall of Cybertron look and snap him in half.
Well then. That's not what I was getting. Are you saying that he's like absolute Batman? Absolute Shockwave. That's actually a funny idea. Anyway, we're gonna head more into this.
Else. Let's take a few minutes to look across the continuities and ask whether Shockwave is the most evil Transformer ever. He created some of the most notorious. He trained some of the most sadistic. He time traveled to rewrite Cybertronian.
Wait. He trained Torn?
Tarn?
Tarn. I said it wrong.
I don't know if he trained him.
That's, if he did, that's horrifying, because Torn and, well, let me just put it this way. I know about the DJD. They are horrifying in many ways.
The disc jockey division.
They are quite literally, the only reason I feel like they're even allowed to do the things they do is because they're doing them to robots.
Yeah.
Quite literally. I don't think any publication would have allowed that.
This was organic. Well, this was organic beings. It would be more murder porny than Saw.
Yeah.
History and religion, he turned a Titan into a monstrous undead Titan.
What?
Set up
He
his
did
own
that to
vacation resort in the Caribbean.
Metroplex?
He's tried to destroy Earth on many an occasion.
That one doesn't have a name.
Oh.
We just call him the Necro Titan.
Oh, wonderful.
Tried to snuff out the whole entire universe a couple of times. But you know, palm trees and stuff. His list of evil deeds is long, so let's get stuck right in. But before we do, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff, because I might do similar vids for Flame and, I don't know, Tarn. Let's see how it goes.
Flame?
So when you see Shockwave getting stuck in gun mode and then shoved down Bruticus's fucking dorsal
he becomes his...
out like someone plugged a dolphin.
Wait, why did he do that?
Well, why did he throw Shockwave?
Yeah.
Being all that evil.
Because it was a hostile takeover, we just used Shockwave to shoot his own men.
Oh. Wow. Damn.
But just wait.
Let's start with Cybertron into
as Megatron's second in command, who was left behind to watch over Cybertron
he's the second in command. That's
during which time he managed to reverse engineer space bridge tech with what must have been very, very limited resources. So this guy is not just a warrior, he's a genius scientist, and he's a cold, calculating tactician.
Yeah, RC shot him in the eye before leaving Cybertron.
Of course he did.
Clones the savagely powerful.
Oh yeah, I did hear about this. Became the Predaking. They made a Transformer dragon.
In the Marvel Comics continuity, he was commanding the ship that shot down the Transformers Ark and became stuck in tar after a confrontation with the Dinobots.
I remember
He gained
that.
leadership when Megatron consumed poison energon. He killed a bunch of weakened Autobots and strung up their bodies, literally ripping this guy in half.
Yep.
And he decapitated
Yeah, that was
Optimus
Sunstreaker.
Prime. And then he worked.
He was down
Rat-Bat
for
on the
50 issues.
Oh. Well then. At some point, we're going to have to, like, voice over a bunch of these comics. Because why not? Anyway.
The Club Con plot, which was, get this, running a holiday resort on a tropical island, which was actually a Decepticon war cruiser in disguise. He was going to use this base to drain energy from the Earth's ocean or something. I don't know. You know,
that's so
it was
weird.
fun while it lasted. Keeping it lighthearted. He was also in the Transformers Creo stop-motion animation, where he was a judge in a dance competition.
Please say dance off. Please say dance off.
And he was pretty biased, like he scored Starscream really highly when he clearly sucked, and scored B really low when he was smooth. In G1, like in many continuities, he invented space bridge tech, so of course the plan to bring Cybertron to Earth, resulting in wild weather patterns across the globe, was ultimately his doing. So
yeah,
change
that's
is
horrifying.
ultimately his fault too. The first time we saw him messing around with time travel was when he built the Chronosphere, which they were going to use to bring Energon back from the past.
That sounds like a
tried to
dumb
blast
idea.
Aerial bots back to a time before there was even a galaxy.
Oh yeah.
So naive.
And he commanded the Decepticons in their attack against Unicron. Interestingly enough, his death was written into the original Transformers the movie script, but it didn't make the cut of the movie. But he was shown in the 2005 graphic novel as being killed by Unicron, being caught in the blast of Unicron's I-beams. Which is why he wasn't in Season 3 and Season 4 of the Gen 1 series. In Transformers Energon, he was as big a threat to the Decepticons as he was to the Autobots.
Oh yeah, Shockwave.
Really
Shockwave.
Shockwave.
That he wanted to overthrow
It looks
Megatron
just like him.
in what was a more brash and
He acts
arrogant
nothing
take
like
on the
him.
character called Shock Blast. This guy shot an Autobot called Padlock in the back and later tried to get control of Unicron, which backfired and ended up with Unicron controlling him, and he went on a rampage
Saber
being
doesn't
crushed
care
like
about
a bug
Padlock.
by the Chaos Dealer. Yeah, this is a pretty
he
different
got crushed by
version of the
Unicron's
character and
hand.
wasn't the sharpest tool in the box.
Yep.
In Cyberverse, he planned to use a pair of magnetic disruptors to cleanse the Earth of all organic life to make the hunt for the Allspark easier. And he built a planet smasher on the moon.
What is that supposed to do?
Then planned to use rockets to push the moon into Earth, destroying it, again allowing them to find the Allspark in the debris.
How does that...
Fall of Cybertron comics, Shockwave might not have created Grimlock, but he was the reason that he got a dinosaur alt mode. He did horrific experiments on poor Grimmy, his machinery stripping him down to his bare components, until at one point there was almost nothing left. Basically flaying, if you think about it. Ugh. But he's also the reason he's so dumb, as he broke into Grimlock's mind and reduced a highly intelligent bot into a feral berserker.
I did not know about that.
Yeah, part of the reason Grimlock's so damn strong in Fall of Cybertron, his mind was rewired to use less energy, so there'd be more to punch shit.
That's, they basically lobotomized him.
Yes.
That's horrifying.
Yes.
Oh, and speaking of Fall of Cybertron, I'm doing a playthrough on my gaming channel. I'm going to start off with doing Transformers Devastation, then War for Cybertron if I can find a copy, then Fall of Cybertron. Links below. Right, wait.
I got a
In the
copy.
Dreamwave continuity, we saw Shockwave that would occasionally work with the Autobots, mostly because of the lack of Energon forced him to, but again, it's a good example of him putting logic above all else. He worked with Jetfire to investigate the Chaos Trinity,
poor
made up
Jetfire.
of Bludgeon, Bugly, and Mindwipe, who were messing around with the dark arts to try and open the Well of Sparks to gain the powers of the Fallen.
Yeah.
But Shockwave cooperates with Grimlock to form a coalition to bring them down and seal the well. More on the Well of Sparks later. He then led an attack on the city of Iacon, instructing his troops to show zero mercy towards the Autobot
capital.
and later showed his power when he killed 2 Guardian robots with 1 blast from his gun mode.
Wow.
After they breached the Autobot base, Shockwave blasted Prowl before the whole op was messed up by Starscream when he started up a planetary engine.
Of
It had
course
been going
he did.
pretty well for the Decepticons up until this point. Starscream. Shockwave
Starscream does kind of screw it up
Astro
for
Train
them
and
always.
Blitzwing to try and come up with more Transformers with multiple alt modes. But because of Energon running low at that stage, he came up with the more efficient Micromasters instead. But then they complained that they weren't getting their fair share of Energon and defected to the Autobots. Shockwave dropped them a little visit to say, fine, you're free to go if you want to, but secretly planted a tracker on them to monitor their movements. Funnily enough, one of the Micromasters, Flanker, did change his mind and wanted to come back to the Decepticons, but Shockwave tossed him to some cannibalistic Insecticons to be splattered and devoured, again showing...
Why?
Because he's short.
That's the only reason?
Yeah, I don't have a good reason for why the Micromasters were treated like shit.
Like, he was coming over back to your side.
Like, they were already treated like shit before they left.
I just don't understand.
There is no reason.
Oh, well. Alright.
That at no point were the Micromasters meaningful to him. He just saw them as a way to further his goal. At one point, Cybertron ran out of energy altogether and all the bots went into stasis in what was known as the Great Shutdown. But Shockwave was saved from Sharkticons, then rebooted by Scourge, only for Shockwave to turn around and shoot him in the back.
Of course.
Oh, thanks for saving me. Now die. Apparently, he did this to get all of the knowledge that Scourge had gathered in his exploration of the universe. He later supercharged himself before shooting Ultra Magnus in the back. No! Defeating Optimus Prime before ripping the Matrix of Leadership out of his chest. Which he then used to activate Vector Sigma and download a bunch of data that he may or may not have used in the creation of Six Shot. And I'll have a vid on him at some point too, don't you worry. Now, in the middle of this particular storyline, Dreamwave Comics went bankrupt, so this one never got finished. But we do know that Shockwave would have gone back to the Well of Sparks and broken open the Seal of Primus itself to siphon from within the well the power needed to create life. Little did he know that he had loosened the essence of the Fallen himself in the process, a consciousness which had gone on
to take root
inside Sunstorm.
Oh, he was in Sunstorm?
Alright, moving on, in Transformers G.I. Joe, he defeated Combiner Superion by turning into a huge artillery cannon. In another very cool
He defeated Superion?
In fairness, Perceptor was one-shotting Devastator by Season 3, so...
What the hell is going on in this comic?
It's Transformers vs. G.I. Joe. Weren't you paying attention?
Oh my god, that doesn't answer any of my questions.
Well, if it doesn't explain automatically the time travel and the Mad Max bad future with Ratchet as the only survivor, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Take on the showing of how powerful his gun mode is, and in the comic called Infestation, he bowed down to accept the rule of H.P. Lovecraft's Elder Gods.
What?
More about that in my wildest
You say that like you had a choice.
Which will also definitely include the time Shockwave became a ghost in Transformers Ghostbusters, and how because of Shockwave's space bridge tech, which malfunctioned to open a portal between realities, causing the Cybertronians to cross over into the My Little Pony universe of Equestrian.
What the hell is going on here? I'm so confused. Also, who is this guy? The guy in the blue.
I think that's Gage. She was a fairly newly created character. It was supposed to be one of the last lives born on Cybertron in IDW 2019. But I don't like IDW 2019, and I feel that all the attempted OCs that were supposed to be how we viewed the world didn't really help.
Which
especially
gave us
poor
that
Rubble was
mad
dead in like
crossover, where
a couple
from what
episodes.
Because you are attempting to control the world. You never... What the hell is going on here?
Ponies.
I understand
refuse to be
Shockwave was going to
involved with any
make
of this.
ponies into Energon. I don't know. I haven't
It was
looked into that
actually
one
pretty
yet. In the 2014
Wow.
Transformers vs. G.I. Joe, he tipped over an aircraft carrier before incinerating a bunch of humans with his eye beam
Oh,
I don't like
while
the art
yelling,
style.
"Fry
Yeah, the art style is a bit
your
weird.
hands!" I don't know. In
Supposedly
Of Masters of the
well, it is supposedly supposed to be an homage to Jack Kirby. I'm gonna be crucified with the comic fans, but if that's what Jack Kirby's artwork looks like, I don't feel like I need to go back and read his work.
Jack Kirby's terms in designing, because he likes to design space style characters like Space Beyond, where he created Apocalypse and the New Gods and the Eternals. He likes creating
Good.
those style of characters.
Joe looks bad.
But yeah, I'm just going on what he likes to do. He likes to make their clothes look kind of otherworldly.
Mayhem, he tried to engineer a bot based on Optimus, but the experiment went awry and it somehow developed the ability to produce a toxic sludge, hence it becoming known as Toxitron. Before it escaped and murdered his creators Loud Pedal and Oil Slick. This Optimus copy was used to grow a copy of the Matrix,
I'm not surprised.
which Shockwave used to contain the spark of Thunderwing. This thing came to be known as the Matrix of Malice and was used by the Mayhem Attack Squad. These guys were like the con version of the Wreckers, and they even combined to form Thunder Mayhem, who the Wreckers countered by combining to form the combiner known as Wreckage. The most
Wreckage actually looks kind of cool, but yeah, Thunder Mayhem.
Wreckage got his ass beat.
What?
Thunder Mayhem ended civilization on Cybertron single-handedly. There's maybe 10 bots that aren't part of the Mayhem Attack Squad left in the universe.
Oh.
That is how badly Thunder Mayhem ended the war.
Wow.
Wreckage thought they found an equalizing factor in Grenergon.
What the hell is Grenergon?
It's Energon, but it's green.
I'm just gonna go over here.
And,
I'm
no.
Here.
No, they got the shit kicked out of them until a mutant used their Grenergon to fucking vaporize Thunder Mayhem.
Oh, wow.
Because this still involved the cast of the original Transformers Marvel comic.
Decepticon-looking Autobot combiner ever. Now, I just found out about these guys, so unfortunately I didn't include them in most powerful combiners, but I will definitely find a spot to talk about them further down the line. Moving on. In War for Cybertron Siege, he himself chose to delete his emotions. Elsewhere, it was something that was forced upon him, but more on that later. He discovered that the Allspark was real and planned to mess with the Allspark's energy to convert all Autobots into Decepticons. Something which Megatron thought was kind of extreme. He was kind of hesitant about it. But if you thought that was bad, he tortured Ultra Magnus after the dude willingly gave himself up. And then came up with the virus to destroy the Alpha Trion protocols that Magnus's death had unleashed. And he used Magnus's corpse to unleash the virus despite a worry that it could damage Cybertron's infrastructure. Don't worry about that. This whole thing did reveal the Autobot arc though, so winner winner chicken dinner. After the Allspark was thrown into the space bridge and the Autobots pursued it on the arc, Shockwave persuaded Megatron to harvest Energon from his own troops to use in his completion of an enormous battlecruiser called the Nemesis. An act that shocked even Megatron, but he eventually went along with it anyway. So Megsy left to follow the arc, and Shockwave stayed behind. So what did he do? Yep, he harvested a bunch more Decepticons to power himself and his guards.
He did.
God knows what he would have done to Elita 1 here had this alarm not gone off. And developed cloaking tech for himself. I mean, morally horrific.
Of course he did.
I bet he had a load of fun with that.
Not that it matters. My understanding of how the Rookie series ended is
need to spend
just everyone. Like, by the time they get back to Cybertron, everyone on it's dead anyways.
I'm guessing part of that is Shockwave.
Alita and Shockwave both died off screen.
Oh. Wow.
Don't watch the Rooster Teeth series. They're bad.
Rooster Teeth ain't created some writing from what I know.
It's almost like they don't know how to write.
Yeah. Ruby has proven that to me. Yeah, that's a straight shot Ruby. No one cares.
Ruby was good until the only person who died. Let me rephrase. Sorry, words. The only person who cared about making Ruby good died.
Yeah. I'll
And
give
I
that
still
to you.
mourn him. The rest just
And
saw a
all the while
paycheck.
Yeah, they also thought they didn't have to listen to anyone now. Which, yeah.
Talking about the
I'm not thrilled
IDW
to see
version of
Rooster Teeth
Shockwave,
back.
because his actions spanned
I don't think
hundreds
anyone
of
really
thousands of years and had consequences for the entire universe. But to get a good picture of who this guy is, we need to look at his backstory. So long
Okay.
before the Cybertronian Civil War, he was a prodigal student of Jyaxus. At this stage, Shockwave was
Jyaxus.
far
Yeah.
from the guy we know. He was pretty expressive. And
The only
emotional.
reason I know Jyaxus' name is because apparently someone told me it was like, it's a term for because they thought the comic was about to end, so they just said, "Gee, Axis."
And they were right. It ran 12 issues.
Huh. Didn't know it, but yeah.
Changing his color often and frequently having emotional outbursts. As the Cybertronian Empire grew, they needed more and more energon to fuel their expansion. Hearing of the prophecy of Dark Cybertron, Shockwave sets about creating a self-sustaining energy source, so started experimenting with ores created from distilled energon. Jyaxus was humiliated when his creation Monstructor was beaten by Omega Supreme, so Jyaxus left aboard an ark, leaving Shockwave to pick up his mantle, and he started studying ancient
He
Cybertronian
was
history,
humiliated
including the
when Insane
13,
started killing
being the
everything, mind
first
you.
Oh! Well then.
13 Transformers created by Primus, each hugely powerful and a prime in their own right. And as it turns out, Shocky Baby had a hand in that too, so we'll come back to that. Shocky Baby. Anyway, Shockwave became a senator
Shocky
and spent
baby.
loads of the Treasury's dollar on research projects that
trust
saw
that
him
smile?
founding many off-world colonies,
No.
helping the supernaturally gifted Transformers called Outliers, vid coming on them soon, meeting the legendary Omega Guardians, and
Omega
he even
Guardian.
learned of a
Oh.
mythical artifact called
Omega Supreme.
Magnificence. Growing dissatisfied with the Senate, he modified a few select Cybertronians to be able to carry the Matrix of Leadership in their chests, in the hope
What?
that one of them would become Prime and steer the society away from
Sorry,
the
no.
corrupt
Can I
ways
talk
of
about
the
that panel
Senate.
for a second?
Sure. Which one?
Of Hot Rod looking at the Magnificence and asking Ian a question.
Yeah?
So the Magnificence was a MacGuffin that was basically a Magic 8 Ball that actually answered.
Oh.
And the team sent to retrieve it were all slaughtered except for Hot Rod and Dealer, who most Transformers fans know better as Double Dealer.
Oh.
A mercenary with both Autobot and Decepticon forms.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, no, Hot Rod stowed the Magnificence away, and when they went to retrieve it, a dealer told him to ask it a question so they could be sure it would still work, with the intention of shooting him in the back as soon as as soon as it was confirmed to still be working.
Mm-hmm.
And Hot Rod, who already had suspicions, did Dealer betray us?
Yes.
And then proceeded to shoot him and kill him.
Honestly, that was pretty smart. Yeah.
Mythical artifact called the Magnificence. Growing dissatisfied with the Senate, he modified a few select Cybertronians to be able to carry the Matrix of Leadership in their chests, in the hope that one of them would become Prime and steer the society away from the corrupt ways of the Senate. Among
Alright.
them was a certain security bot called Orion.
Oh, here he was a
So
security
Shockwave,
bot.
a pretty productive member of Cybertronian
was
society
top.
so far, right?
Yeah, I
The
preferred
corruption
when
in
he
the
was
Senate
like a
proven when
librarian
the
or a
current
dock
Prime
worker.
Nominus was assassinated by Sentinel, with Senator Shockwave
Oh.
next on his list, basically because Sentinel hated Outliers. And
Oh.
so they subjected him
Yeah.
not only to shadow play, a process where his emotion processors were cut out to forever alter his personality,
Ooh.
but Sentinel also subjected him to Imperator, a punishment that involved removing his hands and head and replacing them with generic ones. All that
That is
gave us the
horrifying.
Shockwave we are familiar
Yep.
with. But rather than subdue and subjugate our guy and make him fall into line like what they wanted, all the Senate did was remove his morality, with him instead
That's a
falling back
horrible
on
idea.
the cold, unfeeling ruthlessness that is logic. He joined the Decepticons and agreed to give Megatron a combiner for his arsenal, in exchange for a lab and funding to continue his research. He then went back to his plan for a self-sustaining energy source, which was now coined Regenesis, and involved shooting a bunch of missiles, each loaded with a different ore, to a selection of different planets to see how they would develop under the differing planetary conditions. He spent 500,000 years traveling from planet to planet, studying the properties of the ores on these planets, one including Earth. But just think about that. Even in Cybertronian terms, that's a big chunk of years.
Yeah.
That is the patience and meticulousness that we're talking about here. Anyway, he found that one ore had become a highly volatile explosive.
What?
One could suck the life force from
What was
it.
that?
Suck the life. Found that one
What's
ore
that
had
about
become
giving
a
the
highly
suck?
volatile explosive.
Was that? What are you doing to me? What is
He's
this?
doing his science.
Oh no.
He's sciencing on that man.
One could suck the life force from everything around it, and one even had the ability to transcend time and give him brief glimpses of the future. Like he even shot Dreadwing dead just to test one of these ores, just to see if the ore would bring him back to life. Thankfully for Dreadwing, it did. Whilst he was on Earth studying one of these ores, he started another
Dreadwing was less
particularly
mad
cool
about that than he
experiment.
should have
He
been.
happened to come across the Maximals, managed to erase their memories, and brainwash them into thinking that they were other important figures from the Cybertronian War. Then set them about ripping chunks out of each other for years so he could wargame and analyze. Jesus, man. He
Remember that Shockwave that got controlled by an Elder God?
Yeah?
That wasn't Shockwave. That was one of the guys he brainwashed as this one who thought he was Shockwave.
That's horrifying. So, yeah. Horrifying.
It was a really dumb retcon.
It makes me think your character is like, am I Anyway. Let's head back into this.
Is this the real world?
It was a great idea. See, Overlord was nearly invincible because of the processes Megatron put him through, but Megatron didn't want his newest superweapon turning against him, oh no. So he had Shockwave install a failsafe virus. But to bargain his freedom from prison Garrus 9, he agreed to remove it. Overlord being one of the murderiest, sadistic,
from what I know,
that ever sailed the seven seas. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Then later, after Megatron was catastrophically damaged, Shockwave rebuilt Megatron into this terrifying form, which somehow included a space bridge, which we'll come back to. Shockwave used parts of Megatron's old body to make copies of his gun mode to distribute amongst the human population, knowing that they would inevitably turn them on each other and pew-pew each other into oblivion. Later, when he needed space bridge tech, Shockwave casually went in, messed around with Megatron's body, and
killed Autobots.
Oh, yeah, that makes more
They had
sense.
mind control capability. And when they turned them off, a cop tried to kill all the Autobots anyway, before Jazz shot him and destroyed their PR in the process. Because it doesn't matter that that man was breaking the law and also a lunatic. No, Jazz killed a cop.
Well, then. The thing. Nova Prime.
You've got Nova Prime and Galvatron stargating their way through his chest. Interestingly, Shockwave was one of the few Decepticons that wasn't pulled into forming the colossal behemoth known as the Decepticon.
What the hell is the Decepticon?
Decepticon.
You're not going to explain any further?
No. I think it's very self-evident.
Oh my god. It's the god of the Decepticons, combined from all the Decepticons.
Yeah, basically.
The Decepticons were, and he just stood and watched as Megatron took it on by himself. Now, the reason he wasn't pulled into this was because the entity that took control of the rest of the Decepticons, the Devoids, used their belief in the Decepticon cause to take control of their minds.
He never
believed. At least, Shockwave didn't believe enough in the cause to be lured into this.
And yet Starscream apparently did?
What he saw
that's a little weird.
Survival of Cybertron. After this, he parted ways with the Decepticons and re-established
Honestly, the
contact
Decepticon
with
is
Jahxus.
the kind of thing you think is cool, and then you stop and realize it makes no damn sense.
Yeah, this is why I need people like other people to work with me on my stuff. Anyway, I'll talk to you and Mirai and Fable about that later.
Of the planet Gorlin Prime.
I fluff.
The ore 2 began reacting with the ore within the Titan, which created a fearsome Necro-Titan, basically a zombie version of Metroplex, which using Waspinator's bee stinger, yeah, you heard that right, Shockwave controlled to devastate the city of Iacon. Now, the reason he did this was to lure Metroplex back to Cybertron,
just so we could lure
bringing the Ore 7
Metroplex
with him, and in so doing, all of the ores that Shockwave had scattered across space were now on the same planet. Uniting the Ore 7 with the Ore 2 and Ore 14 put the power of life and death in Shockwave's hands. Merging Ore 6 with Ore 8 granted him control of the potential energy of Ore matter, and fusing Ore 1 and Ore 13 bent the fabric of time to his will. With all of this power now at his disposal, Shockwave set about his ultimate endgame, to collapse all of reality into a singularity the size of a pinhead, and use that to power Cybertron forever. All of the power of all of the stars, all of the planets and their molten cores, all of the lives of the universe crushed down to a single atom, to have their life forces harvested and slowly drained for eternity. Thanos did not have shit on this guy. Shockwave was only beaten because, as he used a time machine to start draining the energy of the dead universe, scattered random moments from his life began entering his head, and only his singular, cold, and unemotional focus stopped him from losing it altogether. It wasn't until the sight of Megatron renouncing and donning an Autobot insignia confused him for long enough for him to lose control of his power. He remembered who he was before he was subjected to Shadowplay and Imperator. He remembered his friendship with Orion Pax and came...
Oh, so the only reason he was able to control on this and not go insane was because of his cold logic, but even that was too much for him.
No, Hasbro would not let you do this. I do what I want, bitch boy.
To realize what he had become, and eventually asked Megatron and Optimus to blast him so that he would be consumed by the power of the time machine. At least that's what everyone thought, because what it actually did was blasted him back in time, only by 12 million years though. There, he came across a guy called Onyx, wandering around
Onyx
looking
Prime.
for some beasties or something. Shockwave realized that this dude would later turn out to be one of the fabled 13 Primes, the first Transformer to possess a beast mode, in fact. Anyway, Shockwave killed him, to step into his shoes and take his place in the timeline. Setting out on another complicated master plan that would span every corner of the galaxy and pretty much the entire span of time, with his ultimate goal to undermine all of Cybertronian history and religion, basically. He made a disciple of a guy and named him Megatronus, instructing him in the ways of war and encouraging him to build his own empire. Then, he invented the Dark Cybertron prophecy in one of those headfuck time loop moments. And then, he started
he did all of this just so we could laugh in people's face and say God isn't real.
I'm not sure if you can do that when you have an actual factual god.
Okay, but no, they don't. Shockwave made it the fuck up.
Oh my god, you are just...
Primus is real, and he's a twink in IDW. He's not divine, he's a therapist.
Oh, that's weird. Alright.
The 13 Primes.
What's wrong?
Steering the Primes into infighting and genocidal conquests, notably the planet Antilla, where this dude invented a certain planet-sized killing machine to strike back at the Cybertronians.
Yeah.
He also invented the talisman to end all life on Antilla, both Antillan and Cybertronian. And the whole planet collapsed into a black hole. So yeah, thanks for that, Shockwave. And if you're wondering how you could top that, essentially putting yourself at the center of everything that ever happened on Cybertron, well, you can't really. But in an alternate timeline in the PS2 Transformers game, Shockwave probably quite rightly rebelled against Galvatron's abusive brand of leadership and used the Zell Quartz, which could amp up the power of a Transformer tenfold to stage a mutiny. But the power was too much for even his brain to handle, and he went nuts, killing many an Autobot and Decepticon in the process, and eventually destroyed all of Cybertron.
What is this
game? That not even Unicron managed to accomplish.
Transformers PS2, not confused with Transformers PS2 or the Transformers PS2.
The other Transformers had to jump back into the past to stop him finding the Zell Quartz to begin with.
I'm Prime. What? But I'm Prime. I'm Prime. What?
So, even though I'm sure I haven't covered everything he's done, we have seen how
can be more than one Prime.
How he takes the notion of calculating
Oh dear God.
To a whole new level, how he's willing to go to the greatest lengths, scheming over millions of years, universal cleansing of entire civilizations, messing with time, stabbing his friends in the back, all this and he can still get a good night's sleep? Yeah, he's definitely one of the most evil Transformers ever.
I don't think he does.
Okay, guys, let's leave it there. I'm sure that I won't have covered everything this guy has done, so make sure you pop anything that I've missed in the comments below. If anyone's interested, I'm going to start putting some Transformers gaming vids up on my gaming channel. I'm going to play through Devastation,
Shockwave's
then
a
War
boss.
for Cybertron, then Fall of Cybertron, and eventually reactivate when it comes out.
I do remember in Fall...
Reactivate when it comes out.
Oh.
Is in the description below. Next up on this channel is craziest Transformers crossovers, maybe most powerful.
I'm still surprised there aren't more Transformers games coming out.
Or who knows, we might even get some Rise of the Beast stuff over Easter. And hopefully that'll be worth talking about.
2 dev team.
Guys, as always, thank you very much for taking the time.
But I'm not sure what they're going to use them
and
for.
I will see you very soon for the next one.
Because they're making Space Marine 3. Like it's been confirmed. Anyway, is there anything you want to add to that?
Shockwave is immune to the Three Stooges' defense to being poked in the eyeball.
What?
He cannot block the attempted poking, ergo, he simply gets poked.
Well, alright then. Well, thank you all so much for watching. If you like us talking about Transformers more, consider subscribing, commenting down below, and liking the video, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye. Take care of yourself.
I don't actually have time to stick around for another one.